All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy.
Welcome to episode 135 of the KissFAQ podcast. You are stuck with the three of us this week. Marcus Almighty, Ken 69 Blizzard, and myself, Lonnie Weissar, SCL Kiss on the board. So, no Julian again this week. Julian's busy. He's under some top secret mission to release something very nice for us in the future. He won't even tell us what he's doing. So, we'll just have to wait and see. So, in the Kiss world, Kiss performed two shows over the weekend, one Friday night, one Saturday night, in Chicago and in Minnesota. Shorter set lists for the festival. Kept Flaming Youth in there, which was fun. Love Gun made an appearance when it was missing from the last, maybe third of the European tour. Love Gun earlier in the set list too, maybe before some issues setting in later in the set. So it's interesting. Lick It Up and Love Gun both earlier in the set, when traditionally, at least for the last several years, they've been later in the set list type songs.
And that might be to save Paul's voice. Yeah.
For sure.
It's totally to save his voice.
For sure. And really almost was a switching back and forth with the set list of Paul rarely doing two songs in a row, with switching back and forth with Gene, and then Tommy with Shock Me mixed in there as well. Mm-hmm. So, interesting. Now, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I didn't catch any of the set list. Was there anything, any sort of surprise, or was it just more of the usual?
Very standard from what they had done recently on the European tour. Flaming Youth did stay in there, which was maybe a surprise to some that it's staying in there. It's kind of fun that it's Flaming Youth. I mean, I guess a lot of people in America haven't heard him sing that yet, so that's exciting anyway. I mean, I'll just run through the set list here real quick for those who don't know. It was Deuce, Shout It Out Loud, Lick It Up, I Love It Loud, Love Gun, Firehouse, Shock Me.
Yeah, that doesn't go on that often anymore.
No, you don't hear that. They kind of used to be the standard, but they've kind of said, okay, you know what, we can't breathe fire after a song other than Firehouse. Firehouse, Shock Me, Flaming Youth, God of Thunder, Say Yeah stays in the set list, War Machine, Psycho Circus, Black Diamond, Rock and Roll Night, and then Cold Gin and Detroit Rock City for the encore. A greatest hits type set list. Flaming Youth mix in there, a little gem for the fans. Kind of the same standard that they've set for the last few years, with maybe one not so standard song in there. Although they've been playing Flaming Youth a lot lately, but Flaming Youth is still pretty cool to hear live. Something you probably thought you'd never hear them play live.
Yeah, agreed.
So, two shows over the weekend. I've heard people say I've heard people online say, "Oh, they sounded terrible." I've heard people say online that they sounded great. They're great. You know, you can't take a YouTube video clip for what it is. You have to experience a show live. So I've heard great things about the shows over the weekend, and I've heard horrible things about the shows over the weekend. So it just depends on your preference, and it depends on how big of a downer you are, I think, too, at the same time. If you're down on everything, you're not going to like it. If you're more positive on everything, say, hey, I get to see my favorite band still playing in 2017, I think you're going to walk away from the show happier.
I think it's just par for the course. I mean, the last couple of tours, we've had that pretty much all the time. There was either people who were into it, especially I found that people that were attending the shows were really into it, and the YouTube watchers were usually had something different to say about it.
For sure. Yeah, I think the people that are the hardcore fans that are going are a little more excited than the keyboard critics, if you will. Other things, the Gene show at Riverside was canceled. So Ken and Julian don't get to go and put Alex in their trunk as they drive, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah. There's I think another one canceled too. I don't know if it's the one. Is it Funner? I think I don't know. I say that's what it's called. But I think the one in Harrah's casino, Southern California, is still going on. That would have been the day before the Riverside show. But yeah, we're kind of bummed about that. Don't know what happened. I'm assuming that it's a lack of ticket sales. Didn't meet the minimum by a certain period of time. That kind of thing. Maybe in the contract or something. Or something came up. Who knows? So hopefully we'll get a chance to see him at another show.
I think the boss is going to join us.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Yeah, he just messaged me.
I'm going to add him in here. So you're not stuck with us this week. You will get to hear Julian here if you just bear with us. We may have to do some editing. And Julian has joined us. Welcome, Julian.
Thank you. I'm sorry I'm late, but, I ran out of beer and had to go get more.
Julian has listened to some of the episodes that he's not been on and decided that enough's enough. He's back on the show with us.
No, I totally decided that I don't actually need to be here. You guys are doing a fine job, so hasta la vista.
So, Julian, we were just talking to Ken about the Gene show at Riverside being canceled.
Yeah.
Julian's disgusted and he's reaching for his beer.
I'm reaching for my fucking free front row tickets,
Yeah.
Gene. I'm not amused. There must be a reason. It was. I did find a skeleton for the page at the venue that said it was sold out, which has now been removed. So
Weird.
One of the things I did see on Facebook today, so it must be true, because I read it on the internet, is that a drummer change is happening in the band, and who knows. But maybe it wasn't sold out because someone did post a picture of a Groupon for the show. So if you're doing Groupons for your concert, maybe
It's a problem.
Yeah. Who knows? The ticket. I mean, these tickets are $150 a pop. So
Really?
unlike Peter Chris's, it did not come with a fucking meal.
My Gene show was like $30. It was a steal.
It was a reverse deal.
Yeah.
You have to remember, we pay much higher taxes.
You guys don't live in the Midwest either. So.
Yeah.
Well, today on the show we have some different topics. We're going to see how they go, and if we run out of gas, we have other things to talk about. But in relation to Gene, one thing I was thinking about was, what if Gene were to do another solo album? Now, I know, for lack of better terms, I know asshole left a bad taste in our mouth, but
That doesn't sound good, does it?
Nice.
Oh,
But-
jeez.
Edit that out of her phrase.
but what if Gene did do a third solo album and took it seriously?
I would rather he did a second solo album and took it seriously,
How
actually.
about that?
Right. I agree with that.
And then just throw something together in a couple of weeks and just throw it out there. What would you like to see from Gene? Would you want another Gene solo album?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what direction would you want Gene to go? Go ahead, Mark.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because I mean, Gene's the kind of guy that has a 4-track or some sort of recorder running at all times. So, the quality of his writing goes from decent to terrible, right? So, I don't know. For me, it depends who he's writing with.
Sorry, we can hear Julian typing like crazy.
Laughing at Julian.
He's writing in there a book right now.
Not me. Sorry, I'm just sending someone that disco version of "I'll Fight Hell to Hold You" that I shared earlier on the board. So.
Oh, that, yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I think it depends on who he's doing it with, because if he just does it on his own, I smell a very bad record coming our way.
Well, if he produces it himself, I mean, the Wendy O. Williams
Yeah, he
one
produced a lot of. He produced his first solo
I liked.
record. We know how good that was.
Well, it was Sean Delaney, right?
Yeah.
But I think that was more. They were going for some. They went for a little bit too much stuff. Tried to cram too much different styles of music onto one album. Now, if you can keep focused, either on more Beatles type music or rock, kind of straight ahead rock music, just kind of keep focused on the style that he's doing. And I guess he wouldn't rework his demos because he's going to put it out separately. So I would hope for some new songs, I guess, newly written songs, and hopefully he can, put out some. I guess I don't want to say stuff that sounds like today's music, because a lot of today's music is crap, in my opinion. Except for a few bands still doing some good stuff, so it's possible. And again, he could produce it himself if, again, he can focus himself. Maybe he needs a producer to focus on, say, hey, you're just going to do this style of music, let's keep it all kind of the same and go down that path. But he can do all kinds of stuff, but I hope he does something that's just maybe more like his Kiss rock, something even back like Just to Kill style. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. That'd be kind of cool. Back that period of time. But it's all a mental thing. How you write from how he was writing back then to now how he would write a song.
But the thing is, though, if he's releasing this box set of all these demos and stuff, he's not going to be able to scoop from any of this stuff anymore. He's going to have to start writing new material from scratch.
Exactly.
Mark, it's not all of his demos.
He's got more than that.
I just asked Adam about some of the stuff that they wrote together, whether it's going to be on there, and he's like, no, there's going to be. I'm not going to even tell you how many, because I'm a dick.
150.
X amount of the songs on, and not the one that you just asked about. So.
For you people listening to this, don't worry. He won't tell us either when we stop recording. So, but no, I totally believe that he has more than 100 or 50 or however many songs are going to be on their demos floating around. Because Gene's like a
machine.
He's just a songwriting machine. He'll just write 10 songs, and if one of them works, great, and we'll just bag these other 9 for later on. Whichever idea is the best, I'll go with that, and these other ones can just collect dust. But I don't see it happening anytime in the near future, because he is pumping a lot of his. It seems like he's pumping a lot of his creative focus into this box set. Finally, that we heard about for the first time. What, 2004, 2005, maybe? Is when we first started hearing about this, and then we haven't heard anything about it for maybe the last 10, 11 years. And then suddenly he's back and he wants to do this finally. It was originally going to be called Monster. Remember that?
Yeah, but that was you.
But that was obviously that was more than 5
I'm
years
hearing
ago.
it might be called The Vault or something like that. That's my latest that I've heard. But no, Julian?
Julian knows the answer and he won't tell us.
We're gonna have to keep.
No, I don't actually. I just hope I just hope it's not freaking lame. I hope it's something demon-like, something that you immediately associate with Gene Simmons, a word, or I don't know, something that Paul Stanley hasn't written a song for. So don't call it the God of Thunder box. Nothing like that. Just something very Gene, the unholy box.
See how I like that.
Yeah, I thought you would.
Demos from heaven.
So no, I think Gene could do another album, and I think we might get another Gene album, but I don't see it happening, unfortunately, in the real near future. But it seems like Gene's one of the maybe the only member of the band that's really being creative at this point, going out and doing solo shows in the band's downtime and releasing something on his own, it's more than you hear from the other three, at least at this point. It seems like maybe Gene's got some creative juices flowing for the first time in a while.
Well, right now he's got the Gene Simmons band, which are an awesome bunch of musicians, regardless of whether there's a drummer change right now. I wouldn't mind seeing him get together with them and at least do an EP. You know, let's see how these guys translate. They're badass. From the recordings I've heard of their performances with him, they seem to click musically and be able to pick up the backbeat for him and cover him and augment him properly. So, you know, why not go with the guys he's working with? And I don't give a fuck if he gets the manure spreader out and recycles the living shit out of anything that's not going on the box, because it's Gene Simmons. It's, you know, whether it's a new idea touched by these other guys, it's still Gene in the essence.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I'd rather see that than a solo album. I'd rather him do a side band project, in other words.
Oh, like make an actual band name even kind of thing, or?
Yeah, the Gene Simmons Band.
Perfect.
GSP.
GSB, yeah.
GSP. That's awful.
Well, MSG, you know, I'm just thinking.
Which is awful.
Well, it is in Chinese food.
Julian, we touched briefly before you came on too about the recent shows over the weekend in Chicago and in Minnesota. Shortened set list for the festival. Looks like, from what I've heard, it's the same set list in Minnesota the next night.
Yeah, that's all I saw.
Yeah,
Good set. Good set again.
That?
Yeah, it compares with Reno. I think it had a few more. I didn't have crazy nights in it, did it? So had a few more classics than we had in April. It was a little bit longer than the European performances. Love Gun was back. To be honest, I have not been on YouTube to listen to anything. I'm waiting in hopes that someone taped it so I can at least hear that sort of recording of it before the fucking cell phones and blown out little mono mics
Yeah.
butcher already bad audience. But I think from what most people were kind of reporting is, you know, it's about what you expect it to sound like currently, if not slightly better, maybe from a bit of a break between the end of the tour. But the set list, it's fine. I would be happy with it. I'd be happy to be at a Kiss show listening to that stuff. I have no complaints. Like I said it from Reno, it's perfectly fine for what it is. Rock on.
Yeah, it's a Kiss show in 2017.
Yeah, God damn it, it's a Kiss show.
Yeah.
We did the farewell tour 17 years ago. I've considered everything since then a bonus, basically.
Yeah,
So, because it could have ended it could have ended 17 years ago. It very well could have. So, well, that's it. I guess that's the end of the show.
They got to do it on.
But no, we have more. We talked a little bit. 2017 is actually the 20th anniversary of maybe the last Kiss compilation I was excited about coming out. And that was Greatest Kiss. I was excited about it coming out because Kiss was the biggest band in the world at the time. I was proud that my favorite band was the #1 band in the world. And even though it was recordings I already had, repackaged, I did have that cool new version of Shout It Out Loud that was that MTV video that you saw on MTV a few times. It was the same, audio for that. So I was excited about that. And I remember finding it, actually. Well, they released Greatest Hits, I guess, in the UK when they went to the UK, like in November or December. And there's a lot of different versions of Greatest Kiss out there with different track listings. And I actually found it at my Best Buy a couple weeks before it was released in the US. I found a European version of it. And I was looking at it like, well, this is different than the track listing I saw online of what it's supposed to be like in a couple weeks. Genius that I am, put two and two together and figured out it was a import. So, what about you guys? Were you guys excited when this album came out? Or were you over new releases by that point in 1997? I think it was our first sample of some of the remastered versions of these songs, because we still had the old CD quality of all those Kiss songs. They sounded, I think, the best they sounded on CD, at least to that point when that album came out. What about you guys? Were you excited about that? Or you just roll your eyes about another Kiss compilation at that point?
Well, back then I was more excited about any kind of release because they were kind of, back at the time. But as far as compilations, it was a good selection of songs, so they did pretty good on it. I still preferred double platinum over that, even though I want to say it has almost all the same songs on it, except you got Two Sides of the Coin right on there.
On the American version.
On the American version.
Okay, all right. Plaster Caster. So, yeah, the American version versus the other one. I guess you're not counting the new one, Kiss World. I guess in this compilation thing, because that's a new compilation, right?
Yeah, there's been
exciting.
15 compilations since this, so
Oh,
Yeah. So
it was still relevant, I think, at that point for a Kiss compilation to come out.
yeah,
And it hasn't turned into what it has.
yeah. So
this one totally made sense. So
yeah. I mean, it's around the time that the popularity and it's like they're going to sell Gangbusters. I don't know how much it's actually sold. Maybe Julian knows how many copies this one sold, but double platinum was it for me pretty much as the go-to. I do like the Kiss Chikara one from Japan. That was a good selection. Kind of had a mix and more 80s thrown in there. It didn't ignore the 80s like some of the other compilations do. And what Kiss seems to do, they seem to ignore the 80s except for maybe Lick It Up.
Just gonna say, to answer your question, the only thing I see as far as sales is that it went gold in Argentina with 30,000, and platinum in Australia with 70,000
Australia
sold. Yeah. So, but I mean,
yeah.
and it also charted pretty decently in Australia. It made to number 11 and 77 on the Billboard 200 in '97. Yeah. It's interesting though that they had so many different versions of it. There's a Mexican version, Japanese version, European and Australian version, and the US version. And for me, this is the one comp album I've never had. It's the one that I think at that point I was just done with compilations because I was excited about the one previous. The which one is that? You wanted the best, you got the best, and because I was so disappointed of what was on it, I just as soon as they announced this one, I was just like, whatever. I just didn't even bother to get it. But I mean, the one thing I found always odd about it is that they had two sides of the coin on it. I mean, I thought that was a really odd song to put in a compilation, considering that I wouldn't call that a hit or anything by any stretch of the imagination. It's
or
a great song. Yeah, it's a decent song, but it's not. I don't know if it's in the same caliber as the rest of the songs on that record. So, but maybe just to make it different, they threw something in like that. But it's not really one I was looking forward to, or nor did I even get. But I'm with Ken. For me, double platinum is the way to go if you want a compilation record. There's no finer Kiss comp, period.
I'd like
so I suppose I do I now have to say something about Greatest Kiss? Something
Please,
positive?
yes. Please chime in. I don't like to talk that much.
So I was lucky. I was in Scotland at the time, so it came out in '96 in Europe, and I thought it was fantastic because it was the first taste of the remasters, and we wouldn't get those for a little bit longer. I think it was the first one I also got sent to me from Phonogram in London, which I just started kind of reaching out to record labels saying, I've got this website, Mr. Blackwell's Kiss Experience. Like, can I, have some free shit, And then they gave me sets of the remasters to give away and Carnival of Souls and all that shit. So, it's kind of like a happy memory for me. Is it the best one? No, but it was really good product it was way better than You Wanted the Best in that the stuff sounded really good. Whereas the stuff on You Wanted the Best obviously sound fucked up from the first time you heard it. You said, well, there's something wrong with this. Paul just re-recorded his vocals. You knew it right from day one. And what the fuck are we doing with a Jay Leno interview? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Right.
Everything that Bob Conti said, or Robert Conti said on Three Sides of the Coin about that album, yeah, okay. Greatest Kiss was good, but my compilation is and always has been double platinum, because that was the first one I bought becoming a fan, because it had the most songs on it and those sounds of those songs. I'm also very partial, I'll admit it, to smashes, because again, I was in Britain at the time, and actually no, I was in Singapore at the time when that one came out, but I was in Britain in the at Christmas when I did get it. So having Crazy Nights and I think Reason to Live on the British version of that, and the remixes, I listened to a lot. I listened to those new songs a lot for a little while, and then it went in the fucking rack and never got played again. So, Smash is getting double platinum first. Greatest Kiss is, it's sold 413 as of March 2012.
Copies?
And that's 1,000 copies.
Oh, okay.
413,000.
Sure.
413.
But by this point, it probably could be certified gold, because
Probably should. Yeah, I would
I'm
imagine.
sure it is.
Psycho Circus, how many? So Psycho Circus at the same time was only 481 and was certified gold, and there you go.
I mean, I was excited when Greatest Kiss came out. Like I said, and Julian mentioned too, it was the first taste we had of those remastered songs. It got me excited for the remasters that were going to come out starting later that summer. Kiss was touring the United States at the time on their Lost Cities tour, which I saw. So I mean, I was really on a Kiss high at the time. New album, new live version of Shout It Out Loud. I mean, I was senior in high school. I ate it up. I was excited for it. So I mean, the timing was good. They were doing a U.S. run of the tour to help promote the tour. Not that the reunion tour needed a whole lot of product or something to sell tickets, because we all know it did very well on its own. But it made sense at the time, as opposed to maybe some of these compilations now that you just kind of scratch your head and it doesn't make sense. The timing doesn't make sense. The whole idea of it doesn't make sense. But it did at the time, and I was excited. I remember, I think I was in high school, and I think for some reason we were out doing something, and I was able to buy it on my lunch break, actually, from high school, like the day it came out. Like we went somehow, I think we were out doing something with band or something, and we went to McDonald's, and there was a music store next door, and I ran next door so I could buy it, so I didn't have to buy it after school. I remember doing that. For some reason, I remember we were out, and I bought it like the day it came out on my lunch break. But it was an exciting time. But I still go back. I'm with you guys that double platinum is the standard as far as Kiss compilations go. It highlights the original 6 albums. It's fantastic. So
it's a bit messed up in parts, but for the most part, it's
Right.
It's really good. So, just a quick poll: how many people did buy Kiss World?
okay.
Yep.
Not yet.
50% of us here. Yeah.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. So I don't buy everything.
No, I didn't. I did not buy Greatest Hits Live from that fucking awful company, whatever they were. Concert Live.
Oh, Greatest Hits Live? I have
Let me
that.
put it this way. Actually, I did buy it, but they didn't.
Sucker too.
They did not deliver it. So
They didn't deliver it.
Oh, nice.
no.
That's fun.
Was that
Just-
the the Greatest Hits Live from the Sonic Boom tour? Or,
Mhm.
Right?
It was really like from. It was really
Alive-
like
Alive
from
35.
Alive 35.
Live
in
35.
Europe.
That's right. Live 35. Yeah, I have that one. I also have the one from Oakland. That show. That same.
Oh, the concert or
The actual full Oakland show.
the Rock
Yeah, I got a
Nation?
few of those.
Oh no, the Rock the Nation. I have that one too, and that was
You have the Alive
that was
35
Concord, California.
Like that North American 2009 when you could get the CD after the show.
Yeah. I got that one. So yeah, that was cool.
And then there's a compilation of all the songs they performed on that tour.
Yeah,
The best of
The
concert.
best of Alive 35.
I have that.
That's actually pretty
It's
good.
pretty good. Yeah, they did pretty good. A suggestion maybe. I mean, if I wish they would have done something like this on the compilation. They kind of they've running out of ideas, obviously, on some of these.
How can we repackage this?
I wish they would have done like a, updated double platinum and done call it triple platinum. Expand the songs, triple platinum. You have more songs on there.
What do you want on there?
Call it triple platinum. What do I want on it?
Yeah.
I want stuff that came after. Well, the double platinum stuff plus what came after it. Maybe they could do some mixing on that stuff. Just kind of some remixing like they did on double platinum, just to keep in that style what they were going for back then. So if they do something with some of the the 80s stuff, well, actually the late 70s, I Was Made for Loving You, they could have put the long version of I Was Made for Loving You. They could put also the Dirty Livin' kind of extended version on there, right? And then they could do stuff, maybe something from Creatures. I don't know about. No, maybe they'll do even I or whatever. And then look it up. They can start adding the more of the 80s stuff in there. Lick It Up, Heaven's on Fire, of course, the staples. But maybe a switch of it, a switch to on how some of these songs were mixed, or it may be extended. Sometimes you have a fade out on songs instead of a hard ending. Maybe they had a hard ending at some point and then keep that in, that kind of stuff that comes when you go back to the tapes and see these things. So I don't know. That's what I would do. But what do you think?
Julian's not on
Julian's
board.
shaking his head.
Nope.
You wouldn't buy it? Wait,
Nope.
you bought Kiss World. Come on.
No, I'd still buy it. I wouldn't be on board with it, but I'd still buy it.
Yeah. It seems like one of those things that people would probably get, but I mean it all depends again, like whether or not they would be able to find half this stuff to remix it. They always seem to find some excuse why they can't do it. That's the one thing about Kiss that kind of becomes bothersome with me, is that there's 100,000 reasons why not to do it, but they can never find that one reason to do it.
Yeah, but I would be down with the vinyl reissue of the Millennium Collection. So
The
Millennium.
The three.
Yeah.
The three
Oh yeah.
put the three of those out on vinyl, because each of them is about one record's worth of material. I mean, they're all pretty short CDs. I think 12 tracks for one. So that's just the stupid stuff I can.
Or the very best of Kiss on vinyl.
On green vinyl. It's got to be green.
Okay.
'Cause I think that would look really cool. But if they don't want to use a member's aura color, then put it out on like silver, or gold colored vinyl.
They can mix
even- yeah.
rainbow it with all the four colors, right?
Yeah, but those four colors mixed together just look like crayon vomit.
Crayon vomit.
Is that after you eat the crayons?
Maybe. Well, Julian, you recently bought a compilation album that you weren't real happy with.
Did I? I don't fucking remember.
Yeah, you were complaining about it last week
On
when you
the
weren't on the
Facebook?
show.
Jog my
It's-
memory, because I don't remember anything.
It's that bad
I've
you
been-
forgot about it.
It's that bad. You were upset about it, though. It was.
I've been that busy.
We talked about it on the show last week, and you weren't on. It was. You guys are at the. I need some time kill music here while I try to find it.
Oh, actually, I was gonna get a fucking beer. Nice one.
Yeah, Julian, go get a refreshment here, and I'll think of the album that you bought that you weren't happy about.
I found another.
Yeah, I remember he showed it on his Facebook.
He did.
Now this was a pretty good compilation. This one here.
What's that? The Kiss Gold.
The Kiss Gold
Yeah.
that came
That
with.
is actually really good.
That was a decent package, right?
Repacked with the Exposed
Two
DVD,
discs,
wasn't it?
yeah,
Mine came without
exactly.
Exposed in it.
Yeah, this one
I
has
opened it up and
exposed.
it was missing exposed.
So it was underexposed.
Right, it was missing
Yeah, so
exposed.
it was. I
I
mean,
got the 2 CDs that missed the DVD.
yeah, it had the booklet and
Unexposed.
exposed as the third disc there, and
And then they released it as a CD package then too, like 6 months or a year later.
yeah, it has a little booklet with all the songs, and hopefully they did some cool stuff there. I mean, it's a good picture in the middle.
Julian, to refresh your memory, the CD you bought was Kiss the Artist Collection. And you were quite upset about it.
Hold on.
you remember.
What? Which one was it?
Kiss
the Artist.
the Artist
that
Collection.
one.
He was quite upset about it.
But this was
Do you have that, Ken? I don't have that.
the one he got.
Yeah.
No,
Actually, it's one of the few I don't have.
I hadn't even seen it before.
It's on deep discount. For like $26 for
Deep.
songs you already have.
Now, I was thinking
I'm
of
sorry.
getting Icons. You know,
Oh, Icons is fantastic.
I'm gonna get that.
Icons is really cool.
Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna.
actually kind of cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna.
There
buy.
it is. That's what I was
So-
talking about.
This is Kiss
Oh,
the
yeah.
Artist Collection from Canada, Mark.
Uh-oh.
And all it is
Oh,
this Kiss and Love Gun in a fucking
sweet action.
flimsy ass print. I mean, it's not
So you
Kiss
paid for
Live
the
the
box.
trilogy. Yeah, and it was 20-something bucks, and each one of these remaster CDs sell for like $5 brand new.
Yeah.
So I got totally shafted, and I'm an idiot for not doing my due diligence and checking what the fuck it was before buying it. So
Bob Ezrin's probably behind it.
Wow.
this was a cool one
What is that?
Miss George.
from Spain.
Oh.
14 of the same fucking songs I already got 19 copies of. So
Chronicles kind of pisses me off because they could have done something cool. Remember that one Chronicles that came out and it was just Kiss, Dressed to Kill, and Hotter Than
Oh
Hell.
yeah, I remember
yeah,
that.
it
And they
was
could
like
have
it
done
was like
something really cool and repackaged it and called it the originals and put it out on CD.
Chronicles.
And
Isn't that, that was a Rush greatest hits called
no,
Chronicles.
it's called Chronicles.
Oh yeah,
is what
that's
it's
right.
called.
Rush had you're right.
And it was a record company putting it out. And fine, if the record company wants to put out a compilation type box set with the first 3 CDs, great. But call it the originals, put the original packaging to it, and put it on a CD. That would have been kick ass. But they didn't.
Yeah.
And you
Well, it
open
sold
it up,
better.
and it literally was the 3 remastered CDs just repackaged.
Yeah, they did that with a bunch of bands. Cheap Trick. I was at Amoeba at the weekend. They had Cheap Trick's Chronicles, and it was just, I think it was the first 3 albums of theirs, just in that long box kind of garbage.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's just it's like leftover stock that I guess they didn't have the frickin' inserts for, that they just had new covers, excess stock of CDs. How do we get rid of them? Well, let's do 10,000 of these. I'm sure there's 10,000 morons out there who are going to buy it. And yeah, I bought it.
I got one of those like that too, where it was like a little cardboard box, but it had the first album, Destroyer, Dressed to Kill, I think Love Gun, and then it had one of the greatest hits albums in there as well. It was like a 5 CD collection.
Yeah, they do.
But it was just, you could tell it was just the remaster in one of those like album replication CD covers, you know what I mean?
Yep.
How they reproduced the album covers there. And that was it. It wasn't anything too spectacular, but yeah.
I'm in full-on Mark Cicchini mode today. Mark, hope you're having a good holiday. How about this one? 5 classic Kiss albums.
Yeah,
I did not
that's
get
the one I
sucked
just
into
got.
that.
And again, it's the same thing.
That's another.
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the one.
and do you want to know what's really pathetic? Is that there's a second version of it that has mini
That's the one
CD.
Oh, you have both
That's
of
the one
them.
I have.
You have both of
Yeah,
them,
that's
right?
the one that I have.
And I think I'm bad. And then there's you guys.
Yeah, so
I don't even have that. Yeah.
I don't even have that. That's saying something if I don't have it.
so that is Kiss compilation hell. Lonnie, can you move on from this, because I'm up and down to
I got one more. What about the Best of Green series? That was a Canadian release also.
I have it.
Here too.
The best of green.
Best of Green.
Best
Is that like those recycled kind
Printed
of
on
thing?
recycled paper. It's another Canadian.
Yeah, okay.
So basically, it's toilet paper that people have shit on that's been turned into digipack for Kiss CD. Thank you,
You're
Canada.
not saying anything about the music.
Recycled Bob Ezrin toilet paper.
Man, you got to bring Ezra back into it somehow.
Oh, Ezra.
You will end up shitlisted.
Yeah,
Like Julian.
we talked about Julian being shitlisted last week.
That's right.
Yeah, and you were totally off. So
No, yeah, I guess we were. Now that you
Totally-
said, yep, now
totally,
that,
totally wrong about it.
from your comment just a minute ago, we were totally off with the minute.
Yep.
So let's move on to something a little more fun that's not going to get Julian so angry. How about this? Do you think it's 2017? We are approaching the 5-year anniversary of Monster's release. It's been almost 5 years since Kiss put out a new album. At this point, do you think Kiss will put out another full-length album before they officially call it a day? And if so, how would you want it presented? Design your last Kiss studio album.
Well, I'm going to say, I hope they will. I think they will. Just do one more. I mean, Paul mentioned it, of course, but then we haven't heard anything new about them doing it. But maybe with some of the downtime, since they haven't been touring as much, they might have time to get into the studio and do one. And I know Gene keeps talking about that one song, some anthem. Your wishes are command or something like that.
All the kids with painted faces as well.
There you
The
go.
other one.
It's the next Rock and Roll All Night.
So I hope.
It's a cross between Destroyer and Creatures.
Yeah. I hope they do it.
and Revenge.
Yeah, I know they can do stuff with the vocals. If Paul's having a little bit of trouble in the studio, I know they can fix it. And if there's some problems, but I'd like to see one more attempt. I don't want Monster to be the last album. I don't think that's a good last album for them. I want them to hit it good.
Ooh, ouch.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I go back to saying what I always said is I do not want Psycho Circus to be the last album. So, with Sonic Boom, with Monster, I'm
True.
good if they decide no, we don't have the inclination to be creative anymore. We're just stuck in our past, and that's all we want to do. Would I like a new album from them? Yes. But I really want an expanded format of the band where they bring Ace back in to do some songs, where they bring Peter back in to do some songs and pay them appropriately for it. That they keep Tommy and Eric in the band as well, but they have Ace and Ace playing on the songs that he does and sing on them. That they bring in all the living members of the band to be a proper coda. Including Vinny, even if they need to do something like go into the vaults and do like the Beatles did with Anthology 1 and 2, and they tried to do with 3, go to the demos so that Vinny and Eric Carr are represented, and who knows if there's anything from Mark St. John that could be used, but I would like them to kind of gather all the leaves together one last time, do an album, whether it's a double album because of these extra people, being brought back in. You've got your core current lineup doing, give Eric and Tommy a couple songs each per album, even if they're, singing, Paul's stuff or, Gene for that matter. Just bring it all to an end. Is Bruce Foster still alive? Because obviously he did piano on Nothing to Lose. If he is, get him in to do piano on one song. Just kind of all these little threads. Bring it all to a close.
I just like to say though, what you're saying is something that is like Alice Cooper's doing right now. It's kind of right.
Yes.
If they could follow that lead, like look, Alice can do it. Alice can.
He's got that EP, right, that he's putting on Paranormal with the original band, the surviving members of the original band.
Something
so
like
why
that.
the fuck not?
If he can do it, why can't Kiss?
Exactly.
They've looked to Alice for inspiration all their career. My opinions of how these final album or a final album could or should be changes on a day-to-day basis as I hear of ideas from other bands. Nothing. I'm not consistent in how I think it should be done. I would just like them to care about their music enough to go out and, Paul, I want to do one more power ballad. Gene, I want to do one more demon song. Just not necessarily even think about performing any of them in concert. Just do the fucking album, go out there and play rock and roll all night, because that's all you want to do. That's all people care about. People don't care, for the most part, about Monster, even if we freaked out when Say Yes in the set list. It's just not the same. So do something. Try and gather it all together. Get Eric Carr in there. Get Vinny. You're not a fan.
I was just going to say that I think that that's a really good idea. And I had to run out of the room for a second because I had to get something because
Sorry.
now
you froze. Hold on, you froze.
What a start that sentence ago.
Oh, am I unfrozen again?
Yeah,
for now.
You're good.
Okay, I was gonna say I have to come clean with something. Now, I think it's a good idea to do exactly what Julian said, to bring in all these people. And one person I think that they should bring back, and I don't know if I caught all of what Julian said before while I was gone there, but one person that I think they should bring back, and this might be an absolute shock that I'm going to hear this from my mouth, is I think they should bring back Bob Ezrin. Okay?
Mark, are you taking drugs today?
Now, hang on. I'll tell you why. Yesterday, I went to the store, and I bought this.
Oh, Deep Purple.
Oh,
New Deep
nice.
Purple.
And if you look in the back, Mr. Bob Ezrin produced this.
Yeah.
Okay? This record is excellent. I was totally shocked when I put this in my car stereo and listened to it. I thought, wow, this is really good. And this is done by guys who are older than the Kiss guys, okay? And if Bob Ezrin can work his magic with these guys and get an excellent record out of them, I have hope that he could do the same with Kiss. Because, like I said, I know that he did some Ezrin magic to pull this together and make it sound good. It sounds phenomenal. I mean, sure, they have Steve Morris. He's not that old a guitar player, but the rest of them they're up there, and it sounds awesome. It sounds like these guys are 30, 40 years old on this record. It's incredible. The production of it is so punchy, and everything about this album I thoroughly enjoy. And I gotta hand it to Bob that he did a great job on this. Okay? And this is what I was talking about before, how I don't like what he did with Destroyer, but I like what he does on something like this, right? Because I think that he took what they wanted to do and he went along with it and turned it into a really good album rather than to change it up and make it into something that they weren't, right? And I really think that if he took Julian's idea and combined it with Bob Ezrin in the picture, I think that they could make an album equal to this. I really think they could.
I wonder how many copies that sold.
Well, to me personally, I don't care if it sold 10.
But Gene does.
I think, but I think though that
That's
it's a
problem.
great record.
He doesn't care about a great record. He wants the money up front. He wants to be given $500,000 advance per album, like the old days,
and then
the old phonogram contract, and then get $500,000 for advertising, because he doesn't realize that it's 2017, not 1987.
He doesn't care that you don't care how many albums it sold.
Well, then, you know what? He's living in his own dream world then, because everybody else seemed to be able to move on and move forward with that, but he just can't seem to. But that's his loss.
No, he's Gene Simmons and we're not.
Yeah.
His world looks pretty decent. He gets to do a lot of fun shit with other people's money. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with what you said about what Bob has done with Deep Purple. The last two albums, he's built a relationship with them. He did Purple Indicular or whatever it was called, the previous album, and
what it's called. Remember the question mark one?
Oh, so that's the one before that. So,
Yeah.
They've continued making music though. They've stayed active. Kiss hasn't, and Kiss has lost that kind of edge. Whereas they're doing rodeos and circuses, and Deep Purple isn't.
State fairs.
Yeah. kind of a difference.
Yeah.
Lonnie.
I'd like to see him do another album. I mean, it's hard to believe that it's been 5 years since Monster's come out. Because they only waited a couple years in between Sonic Boom and Monster, and I guess at the time I was hopeful that maybe they were going to continue this trend, and maybe by 14 or 15 we'd get a third album from this lineup. I'd like to see another album just from this lineup, just for the sake of. It is Kiss. It's like Kiss's kind of theme. I guess in my opinion, they have 3 albums. You know how they started off. They had 3 albums, and then a live, and then 3 albums, and then another live album. I'd like to see another another studio album from this lineup, and then maybe end it with a final live recording from the last official Kiss show, if you will, and go out, do one more studio album, go out on one more final tour, and end it with a live album, kind of like Motley Crue and them did with how they ended it. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to bring the Motley Crue album into it, but in that same vein anyway. And say what you want about Kiss Live right now, I'd still like to see him end it in that vein. I mean, Vegas still sounded great, and I know Vegas was 2014, but that album sounds great.
Sounds excellent.
You can go in and touch things up and make it sound, worthy. So I'd like to see it. I like your guys' idea of bringing back past members, but I don't see egos allowing that to happen like Alice Cooper has done. I guess because you don't have two guys in the same character makeup, and I mean, if you didn't get along for 20 minutes to play at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I don't see Eric and Peter Criss or Tommy and Ace getting in the same studio to record an album together. You
know what, though? I also think that Alice Cooper is more an artist and Gene Simmons more a businessman. I think that's the main difference between
connect that Canadian Wi-Fi.
Gene, did I get screwed up again?
Yeah, Canadian Wi-Fi is messing up.
It's fucking Wi-Fi, I'm telling you. Okay, I was saying Alice is an artist, Gene Simmons is a businessman. That's really the reason why Alice is doing cool shit and Gene just sits on his rear end and just, if I don't get $500,000, I'm not doing it.
Okay, so why did he write with Ace Frehley recently? Is that business? He's investing in the future? What fucking future?
Maybe. It could have been just for fun,
Okay, so he's not an artist, but he'll just do stuff for fun? That's what I'm not getting with this thing on Gene. I mean, Gene's an enigma. I don't think any of us know what he is from one day to the next. I think sometimes he gets up and puts on his creative boots and wants to go out and play music with a band on his own. Some days he wants to get up and be nice with Ace Frehley and co-write songs.
And then he doesn't want to make a record.
I think you have to get him on the right day. He's like El Glorious Leader at the moment, that you just never know what you're going to get out of him. You get him in the right mood, in the right way, that you could probably get him into the studio recording an album before he even knew what he was doing. And that's kind of how I see Gene. I mean, he may sound off about, I'm not getting paid. There's 6 billion plays on Spotify, and he only got $43.95. Yeah, but I think with being manipulated in the right way, or just being persuaded in the right way, he could do it. So it's not necessarily about the art.
Yeah, but I don't know. Look, you're probably right, but I've always thought that Alice is. I always think that Alice seems to want to continue to do stuff. It's like what Nikki Sixx used to always say, artist wants to make art, right?
Alice wants to make music. I mean, look at Brutal Planet, Dragon Town, The Eyes of Alice
That's
Cooper.
what I'm saying, you know.
You know, he just kept going and going, and
putting them out.
along came a Spider, and then, you know, A Nightmare 2. I mean, the guy is a machine. Continues to make music, and it's always got that Alice stamp on it. It's always a little bit different depending on his cast of players, and he's got a fantastic crew. So why can't Kiss do the same thing?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I don't know.
I just don't
think
think
it's Paul. Paul is driving the ship, so I think it's whatever he decides is how it's going to go.
Well, that ship is then called the Exxon Valdez.
I think the creative fire just burns a little hotter in Alice than it does in Kiss, and
well, Paul has carried
Kiss
the
is
load.
very content being a nostalgia band at this point.
Yeah, but Paul carries the load so many times. He did it in the 80s. This freaking ship has been on his shoulders for how many years? You know, how about letting Tommy and Eric drive then and tell the two old guys what to do? You know, let them have their moment. I mean, if it's going to be one last Kiss album, how about letting someone else drive? I mean, Paul says he has no interest in doing it unless he's in control. How about saying it, fuck it, I'll just show up for work every day and do what you tell me to do, you know, and let you do it. You know, you want me to be like Freddie Mercury on his deathbed? I'll sing anything. Bring me something to sing. I'll sing it. Do what you can with it after the fact. You know, just you bring me something. I will work with it. You put it together. You know, the Freddie Mercury way might be a good way to kind of go about it.
mm-hmm. And they did end up with a record out of it.
I don't see that happen.
Well, yeah, I don't want to get into a review of Made in Heaven, but we could have some redos of Live to Win stuff on it, I guess, if you're going to do it like they did for that final Queen album.
No Live to Win.
I really don't see a Kiss album happening without Paul Stanley being in total control of it.
But wasn't he also saying that he wanted like some sort of I think somebody said that he was looking for a really huge drum sound, and everybody started talking about, well, maybe then Michael James Jackson will come back or something. And
imagine that. Everyone's been talking about Michael James Jackson, and all of a sudden.
No, it's because of the mention of the cruise.
I mentioned the cruise, and Paul saying at one point that if we do another Kiss album, I want to have a big drum sound like Creatures, and people are connecting the dots in their head, thinking, "Oh, Kiss is going to make a new album. Michael James Jackson is going to produce it."
And then Michael James Jackson's on the cruise.
Right.
But you don't need him for the big drum sound. You need Nico Wallace. I believe his name. I probably didn't pronounce it correctly. Michael James Jackson was the producer. The guy who did the actual capturing of the sound and the setting up of it was someone else. But who knows? I mean, Michael James. I would take him over Ezra any day for the final album. When you go back to those, you know, Killers and Creatures and Lick It Up, how bombastic everything sounded.
Yeah.
I love it.
Good.
How good the production was, that any of the kind of the weaknesses that we perceive in Sonic Boom and Monster, I don't think anyone would have those sorts of criticisms against the stuff Michael James Jackson did with the band. Mm-hmm. There's other stuff that you could raise as being, you know, problematic, but a lot of it's subjective.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'd love to have it, but I don't know. I'm pessimistic on it happening.
Yeah, but, you know, it's not interesting that we're all so uncertain about it, you know, like you would think that, you know, if you were to ask maybe half the people on the board, they'd be all over that, like, yeah, man, for sure, they got to do it, you know, but
no one on the board speaks like that, Mark. They'd be like, oh, fuck you.
Happening.
Not doing it without Ace. Can't do it without Ace.
Mark's a dick. You know, that's the thing I heard a few times already.
Well, there you have it.
There you have it. Well, I think that's our show for the week. We just hit on a bunch of a few different topics. Talked about some recent Kiss shows. Talked about our thoughts on Gene doing a studio album, our thoughts on compilation albums briefly, and our thoughts if Kiss were to do another studio album. Kind of pessimistic views on maybe all three topics today, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But
put on your beer goggles, people.
Yeah, thank you, Julian, for joining us and guiding us through this week's 3-topic show. Instead of a 3-hour tour, it was a 3-topic show. So, thank you. 135 episodes. Listen to them all on iTunes. You watch them on YouTube. We're on Spreaker, Google Play. Where else, Julian?
Vimeo.
Ah, yes, Vimeo. Comment on the FAQ. Comment on YouTube. Thanks for watching the Kiss FAQ podcast. You stay classy, Kiss Army.
Thank you for spending time listening to the Kiss FAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the Kiss FAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.